A sign at the Marriott Key Largo Bay Resort alerts customers that it's closed due to the Hurricane Irma evacuation from the Florida Keys. Via OlyDrop. Key West. FLA. Hurricane Irma has filled this town at the end of the road with an odd mix of fear, braggadocio, and, increasingly, hope. A mandatory evacuation of tourists has emptied the town, leaving behind locals scuttling up to cold beers at still-open bars. They're chewing over their options, trading war stories of storms past, and debating the finer points of how to rig boats to best ride out the wind and waves. "I'm hopping into the first boat that floats into my yard," laughed real estate broker Barbara Anderson, 55, as she sat in the legendary Schooner Wharf Bar amongst the sun-bleached sailors and beach bums who call this island home. Neither Anderson nor her roommate, Cameron Jones, 25, plan to leave the island before the storm hits. "We're just battening down the hatches," Jones added. Like many locals, Jones and Anderson are closely watching the forecasts, hopeful Irma's turn away from the Keys will spare them the worst. A direct hit by a major storm like this could be devastating to Key West and the other islands, which stretch more than 100 miles off the U.S. mainland toward Cuba, where on Wednesday night lightning storms were striking the island nation, illuminating the heavy clouds with periodic orange flashes. Tourists and many locals left the Keys on Wednesday after officials ordered evacuations, and a steady stream of cars, RVs and trucks, many towing boats, headed north across the swooping causeways linking the low-lying islands. Key West itself is no more than 20 feet above sea level at its highest point, the cemetery, but longtime residents say the town has suffered through plenty of storms successfully. In many cases, the bridge abutments are some of the highest points on the islands, and residents have jammed their cars onto the relatively higher pieces of ground. Irma, a monster 185 mph hurricane, is headed directly for Florida, and new projections show it may no longer hit the Keys head-on, but instead drift further northeast towards Miami. On the Keys, signs of Irma's approach are everywhere, from the boarded-up Hard Rock Cafe on Key West's Duval Street to the gasoline shortages all up and down U.S. 1. Authorities are providing buses for those people who don't have cars, but many of Key West's homeless are refusing to leave, sitting outside the Schooner Wharf. William Holmston said he has a few friends he might ask to take him in if the storm gets really bad. Homeless for the past year, but a Key West resident for 25. Holmston, 58, said many homeless people are skeptical that conditions would improve if they get on a government-run bus and head for a shelter somewhere north. After considering the Wednesday night forecast, Holmston said he'd take his chances. Irma will make landfall elsewhere. "I would wish a bad storm on anybody," he quickly added. Despite the rosier projections, Carrie Collett and Michelle Daddio were planning to head north in the morning. Many island residents worry they'll run out of gas just leaving the Keys, and won't find the situation any better in Miami or Fort Lauderdale, where rumors of major traffic slowdowns and vehicles overheating quickly reached their ears from friends and relatives. Collett said she and her wife decided to use Irma as an excuse to do some long-needed house cleaning. They packed their Lexus with their most prized possessions, including their 3 dogs, and were planning to head out following dinner Wednesday night. After taking photos at the southernmost point marker, Collett, who works in healthcare, said she's worried people who get hurt during the storm won't have access to adequate care. She said she's been trying to persuade friends and neighbors to leave behind their belongings. "Family is the most important thing," she said. "You can replace stuff. That's why you have insurance." Of course, she said, many of their friends don't have insurance on their homes or businesses, prompting them to stay behind to protect what they can. Braggadocio shook her head at that idea. As the sun set and lighting flashed over Cuba, 90 miles to the south, she said she's unconvinced Irma will spare the Keys. After all, she said, a storm this big carries massive potential devastation even if the ice slides north. I worry this storm has the potential to make Key West a memory, she said.